If you caught our last video about tiny house scams, you probably remember how many folks dropped names in the comments. We got bombarded with messages like, hey, what about this builder? Or you missed the worst one. So here we are, part 2. Same rabbit hole, but way deeper. We've been building tiny house trailers and homes for years now, and the same names keep landing in our inbox. Sometimes from people trying to warn us, sometimes from people asking if they're about to get scammed.
And what's wild is, people in the comments keep saying things like, well, yeah, that kind of scam can only happen in California, or that's what you get in a liberal state. But the truth is, these stories aren't just happening in blue states. Today's video has companies operating out of Texas, Tennessee, Utah, Nevada, and Idaho, some of the reddest states in the country. It's not a political issue. It's a nationwide problem.
So, like we said before, this is all alleged. We're just passing along information that people have said, what news outlets have covered, and what the internet has dug up. So, let's dive in.
Have a new update on a story we've been covering for months now. Deputies have arrested the owner of A&L Sheds again, this time in Montgomery County. This arrest follows 2 others in McLean and Harris counties. Amanda Sparks is accused of taking over $1 million from people in the Houston area for sheds or tiny homes that were never built.
This one is heartbreaking. A&L Sheds, run by Amanda Sparks out of Texas, started as a custom shed and tiny home company. But somewhere along the way, things went really wrong. Over 100 people say they were scammed. People mortgaged their homes, cashed out savings. One woman paid over $42,000 and never got anything. Just emails full of excuses.
It's heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking. Just like my mother passed away just last month. If I had my $8,100, I could help with her funeral.
A third arrest and judgment signed by the Harris County Attorney's Office means that those on this victims list of over 100 people could be getting their money back after they showed up to an A&L Sheds office, signed contracts for sheds or tiny home builds, paid anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000 up front, some paying in cash, and never received those sheds or tiny homes.
Another family lost their retirement funds. The Facebook group for victims has more than 1,500 members, and some of them are still trying to get answers. Eventually, law enforcement got involved. According to KHOU, Amanda Sparks is now facing felony theft charges.
Well, my husband found their ad online, and we drove to Houston and took her a cashier's check. Met her at some office, gave her $16,800. She wrote out a contract. I've got all the contract, all the paperwork at home, telling us when she was going to start our building. It never happened.
Over 100 people who paid A&L Sheds and never received work connected in a Facebook group, sharing information that helped them compile a list of all of the incomplete builds.
And a judge ordered her to pay $12 million in restitution. That's life-ruining money. People trusted her, and she burned them. And remember, we're not here trying to cancel anyone. We're builders ourselves. But we believe people deserve transparency before putting down $40,000 on a promise.
Now this one hits close to home, because we got tangled in it too. Upper Valley Tiny Homes, or UVTH, had some traction back in the day. Fun floor plans, great marketing, but soon customers started complaining that their homes were late or never arrived at all. Turns out, while all of that was going on, UVTH's founder, Michael Tveter, was writing hot checks to one of our trailer-made dealers for tiny house trailers, over $35,000 back at that time. Those checks bounced and Tveter disappeared. When the Utah trailer-made dealer tried to go get the stolen trailers back, they were gone. Several months later, 2 of those units showed up here at our facility in Colorado for warranty work, but with fake VIN numbers now attached from a totally different trailer company out of Idaho. Want to know what happened when we called that trailer company to find out what was going on? They hung up on us. That's how shady it got. Tveter was playing a shell game with VIN fraud, forging fake titles for trailers, and ghosting people left and right. He eventually shut down UVTH and reappeared under a new name, Apica Outpost. But the complaints never stopped until eventually Tveter stopped trying to fund his Ponzi scheme. When someone rebrands instead of refunds, that's usually not a good sign.
If you want to keep seeing deep dives like this, drop a comment telling us about a scammer you know of. And please like and subscribe. It helps more people find this video and stay safe. Boxabl came in loud, a disruptor in the space. Flashy viral videos. Elon Musk supposedly lived in one. Their factory looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. But underneath the hype, it's not quite what it seems. First off, their homes are not built to any housing code. Not IRC, not HUD, not ANSI, which means most cities won't approve them for residential use. So they're basically glorified camping units. Just like those folding houses you see on Amazon for $10,000 that ship from overseas. Cool idea, but not legal housing.
Even if we get approvals, which we're just about to get, I just feel like, the approvals thing is like answering a question that's not necessarily being asked. And
for us, it gives an explanation for a question we can't answer.
People thought they could just drop one of those on their land and move in. Nope. You still need a foundation, utility hookups, and permits. And many folks who did buy one of these just got a half-finished shell, not even a livable unit. There's also this constant FOMO push. You've probably seen their ads. Final funding round, get it now, last chance to invest. That kind of pressure usually means one thing. They're burning through cash faster than they can build.
Galliano, according to Business Insider, bought a $5 million mansion and an $870,000 house himself. He left his name in the $870,000 house to make it seem like he was living in the $870,000 house, but apparently actually lives in a house that one of his entities now owns, and it's worth $5 million that he just bought in 2022. Business Insider claims that Paolo and Galliano spent more money on real estate for themselves than Boxabl made in gross revenue in 2022. My opinion here is that Galliano and Paolo had a vision for solving housing in the world, but realized it's much easier to get influencers to peddle a scam and promote a high valuation for a company that's straight up fraudulent. And instead of actually providing a product, live off perpetual investor money raises.
We're not saying they're a scam, but a smart investor would ask, where are the finished homes? And why so much marketing with so little product?
Incredible Tiny Homes built a huge fan base. Daily YouTube updates, $20,000 tiny homes, a charismatic founder. It felt real. It felt personal. But behind the scenes, a different story. Around 2022, things started unraveling. Customers reported massive delays, sometimes years. Reports some were even living in tents on site waiting for their homes to be built. There were reports that Randy, the founder, was requiring customers to sign NDAs before doing business, which meant that if things went off the rails, and a lot of them did, people were legally gagged from speaking out about it. And if they did, Randy threatened them allegedly.
Multiple people said that they were part of the agreement, if you use their financing, is that you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement saying you can't say anything bad about the company on social media. Now, this is really important. One, I don't know if this is actually legal. So for the YouTube lawyers out there, or the lawyers that are watching this video, or if you know anyone who's a lawyer and you can get information from them and then kick it back to us, please do so, because that seems really suspicious to me. People have the right to say what their experience was like, and if you had a negative experience, you do have the right, at least in my opinion, and I think even from a legal standpoint, to say that you had a bad experience. So to have your client sign, and a customer, it's not like a client through like a client consultant agreement. This is like a customer transaction service agreement. So it would be like, in sort of like a more extreme example, it would be like if you went to a store to buy a product, or like you went out to eat and they had you sign a non-disclosure agreement saying you couldn't talk about the food on your social media, or you couldn't talk about the furniture that you got from the furniture store. So that.
We also found public records from Tennessee showing cease-and-desist orders against Randy and ITH. He was allegedly trying to build out an unlicensed tiny home village on land that wasn't zoned properly for it. No approval, no infrastructure, just people handing over their money and hoping it would work out. And we're not saying Randy set out to hurt anybody, but good intentions don't mean that much when folks lose their savings and feel like they can't even speak up about it.
We all get wound up on the negative very easily, and I don't know why that is. There's so many people that do, and I'm so far from that, and I think I'm naive about how people process information in their minds, you know, because to me, I protect my mind from negativity. I try to actually process negative in a different way and approach it in a way that it's not negative anymore. And I try to come up with a solution. Amanda used to get mad at me.
Big shout out to Mick Thinks Tiny, the YouTube channel, for digging deep into this one. His coverage helped a lot of people understand what was happening inside ITH and why so many customers were hurting. Listen, we're not trying to trash the entire industry. There are lots of solid builders out here doing it right.
But when people start losing their life savings and getting silence, lies, or threats in return, that's when we draw the line.
So, before you sign a contract or wire that deposit, do your homework, ask for references, check code compliance, and get it all in writing.
And if you've had your own experience, good or bad, drop it in the comments. Your story might be the thing that helps someone else avoid a disaster.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Your time means the world to us. We'll see you in the next one.